I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Great! He's good at coming at you.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again!
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
Whoa!
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Great afternoon, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to The Drive with Jack. It is the Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here today with my producer, Rob Bennett, Boston Rob. Downtown Lansing today, 105 West Allegan. And, Rob, we have a very special guest on. I want to bring her in right at the top of the show. That would be Audrey Dahlgren. She's sports director. She's everywhere. WLNS, Channel 6. How you doing, Aud?
Hey, Jack. Wow, top of the show. That's what we call, that's, and when we do that, obviously, in our sportscast, that's like the top story of the day. I cannot be the top story of the day.
Well, I don't know. I would say pretty close. You know, we're getting ready for Big Ten football, and that means big things on WLNS, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's go time today, starting today. I mean, it's already football season in my mind, so we've already flipped the switch.
You are going to be headed to Indianapolis along with Ian Kress. I will be there along with Doug Warren, Tom Crawford. A ton of the Spotlight folks will be there. Graham Couch will be there. And looking forward to 2 days of coverage of Big Ten Media Days. What are you most excited to talk about, and who do you want to talk to?
Well, we're actually on our way down right now. We're going to be there in about 2 hours.
Good.
So we left a day early, actually, so that we don't have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn tomorrow to get there for Kevin Warren, because he's the first person on the docket tomorrow to speak to everybody. So that is one thing that I'm definitely looking forward to. I really want to listen to the commissioner when it comes to USC and UCLA and other things pertaining to NIL.
Right.
I really want to get his take or listen to his take on what he has to say about those things, especially when it comes to the non-revenue sports in the Big Ten and how they plan on logistically making it happen for sports like volleyball, softball, baseball. There's some things that I've heard that they might try to do, and when it comes to making it a little bit easier on a travel-wise for people, to make it more accommodating for schools.
Right.
So I'd be curious to see if that's going to play out. And I also want to get his thoughts, obviously, on NIL, as this seems to be the first, obviously first true season, I think, where they've had a year to sort of see how it's played out a bit, and then, expectations going forward, and if they think the NCAA is, going to start putting any rules and regulations on some stuff.
Yeah, it seems like the toothpaste is kind of out of the tube right now. I'm also anxious to talk to him about the transfer rule. And the idea was that they would have a one-time immediate eligibility transfer. Now they're already backing up on that. And I'm curious because Kevin Warren's son was a transfer to Michigan State. And I'm wondering how he feels about the transfer rule and what some of the problems and dangers are with that.
Right, yeah, Powers Warren, he did do that for sure. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things I think that'll come from tomorrow, and just listening to him and questions being asked. And, I'm not too focused on, who he thinks is going to win the Big Ten this year versus, I want more of the Hardy stuff, details, and how they're going to plan to do some things. And maybe even more, too, of what came. A lot of, conversations have come out when it comes to why USC and UCLA, but are they going to add more teams? Is Oregon a contender to be, join the Big Ten? Is, Washington, things like that. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Then obviously, we'll cover Michigan tomorrow because Jim Harbaugh is there with 4 different players. Kate McNamara. There's always a lot of stuff that comes up in regards to them. They are the defending champs, so that'll be fun. Last year at Big Ten Football Media Days, it was really interesting because that's the day that they proclaimed that they were going to beat Ohio State that year and win the Big Ten title, and sure enough, it transpired that way.
Well, I think they proclaimed it a lot of years, but they've only done it 3 times in this century, and they haven't won in Columbus since 2000. So it's 22 years, and you talk to the Ohio State players, and they'd be more than happy to proclaim that Michigan got its one win for the decade last year.
Yeah, that's true. That could happen too. Yeah. Those guys talk Wednesday, so maybe, hear from them about that Wednesday.
They don't dare put them on the same day. It's yeah.
Right.
I was going to say that when you talk about conference realignment and expansion, everyone thinks the Big Ten would welcome Notre Dame, but after an initial surge of interest that might happen, now I'm starting to hear that Notre Dame wants $75 million a year from its other contracts and is determined to try to stay independent if it can. If it can still get a seat at the table for the college football playoff, and I think it can. But I'm hearing a school that has great interest for the Big Ten is Stanford.
Yeah, I've heard that too, Jack, actually. And I think it makes a lot of sense, way over Notre Dame, just because, now with USC and UCLA, why not add another team from out west?
I don't think they would add one, Aud, because that gives you 17. It's such an odd number. It's a prime number. You might want to get to 20, but you could go from 16 to 18. And I'm also hearing that there's some interest, I don't know how developed this is, that the Big Ten might choose to be a true coast-to-coast conference. I guess you could say they do that now, going from California to New Jersey, but to add some schools that are currently in the ACC. They'd love to have North Carolina. There's some thought that there might be interest in Virginia or Miami or, some other school that would fit the academic profile of the Big Ten, but take it into another part of the country for television sets. It's all about the money, Aud.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't have to tell me that. I know that. Working in TV, that's all people care about is how much money you're generating and the revenue that you're bringing in.
Yeah.
And I would get this sense, that now the one part about it that when it comes to that, adding a Virginia or North Carolina or Miami, you're hitting the coast down south and, in that region. But I'm not sure if that's the right move right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think something like a Stanford or an Oregon or a Washington or, something out more west that way makes more sense right now than bringing in a Miami or, a different team in that area.
Right.
But, it's enticing because, the more parts of the country, you have more people tuning in from different regions. Obviously, it generates a lot more money.
Well, if they think they can get Florida television market as opposed to the Oregon market, that's kind of a no-brainer, but I understand what you're saying, too. There's also the money with Phil Knight, Nike, that enters into it. Bottom line is it's something for numbers crunchers, not media people.
That's why I am not. That's why I did not end up doing kinesiology, Jack, because a lot of math and science. But hey, I'll write and talk and communicate and all day.
When it comes to the rest of the Big Ten Conference, and you mentioned Michigan being there tomorrow, do you think Jim Harbaugh is going to get some hard questions? He usually does not.
He might.
Think he's going to get some questions about, does he have any regrets about the way he handled the Minnesota Vikings debacle, or do you think he's going to get asked about rape, incest, and health of the mother when he came out with his abortion platform last week?
Big Ten football media days, as you know, Jack, it's like an open book. People ask all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Everything from radical questions off the wall where you're like, where did that come from? To serious questions, to very fun, lighthearted, sarcastic, joking questions.
Yeah.
So, there is a chance that it could come up. Obviously, we live in a climate right now where those are some hot button issues. And unfortunately, I do think a lot of people, too, are all about making a headline that clicks rather than maybe with some, reality to it. I think, but, there is a chance of it that could come up. Everything comes up at Big Ten football media days. And actually, too, if you want to ask a question like that, this is the place where you ask those questions because it kind of is a free-for-all in a sense, I think.
Yeah, and I was going to say that with some coaches, it might just be considered gotcha journalism or trying, clickbait questioning. But Jim Harbaugh's the one who brought it up last week. I mean, he went and gave a speech about it. So it's not like you were asking Pat Fitzgerald or someone else about it. You'd ask someone who feels very strongly about it with his faith. And I'm just curious as to, how far he would go with that.
I mean, he probably will definitely get asked about it,
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't, especially with how the time frame that's passed. It's not like it's been a long time since these issues came up.
Right.
I don't know in terms of like with Bo Schembechler and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that would be too far. That was a little too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, kind of why not? Probably more than likely it'll get addressed because somebody wants to know.
Sure.
Somebody has there are thousands of media members there. So
yeah, and everyone would like to get something that's a little unique or at least their own spin on it. How do you think Mel Tucker will be received? Last time, he was almost invisible coming off that 2-win first season at Michigan State. No one, not even Mel's mom, thought that they would win 11 games last year. So do you think that he will get a ton of attention, or will all the focus on Wednesday be on the Buckeyes?
I think he's going to get a little bit more attention than last year. Absolutely. It's interesting because Penn State also is on Wednesday. So you have James Franklin, Ryan Day, Mel. I think those are the big three of the day where, I still think, though, after what they were able to do last year, they don't have, I think the one thing when it comes to Michigan State this year is they have a lot of well-known players or
Mm-hmm.
what happened last year. A lot of people, they're more on their radar than they
Mm-hmm.
were a year ago.
Yeah.
And so, with obviously, too, with Peyton Thorne and Jaden Reed going and
Yeah.
Xavier Henderson, who's just named to the Jim Thorpe Award, watch list today, they have a lot more eyes and attention on them. And I definitely think that, I think that he will draw a lot more attention. I don't think he's going to talk as much as he did last year, though. That's the thing. He was very open. I think last year he was very open.
Yeah.
He wanted a lot of people to know some things about the program,
Right.
where he stands as a coach and the culture that he tries to build and what he was trying to do at Michigan State. But now that they won 11 games, I would expect him to be very short, a little shorter at the press conferences
Mm-hmm.
and at the podium than he was last year. And I think you're going to hear maybe the same answers and just maybe in a different, depending on what questions come up. That's my personal opinion on that.
I don't think Michigan State will get a lot of coverage, and I don't think the questions will be about the Spartan football team. I think the questions will be about Mel Tucker, the $95 million man, about how do you handle that, being a black coach. And he's made a big deal about the Big Ten Big Life Tour, Selma to Montgomery. So, again, we get back into social issues. And those kinds of questions, I think, will be asked. I think he'll be asked about the difference between the Big Ten and the SEC because he's coached at 3 different schools in the SEC and 2 in the Big Ten and went to a 3rd.
Right. No, and he's very too, Jack, he's all over social media.
Yeah.
And then with everything that he was doing with, recruiting, I bet he's going to get asked a ton of questions about recruiting.
Right.
Right. You can't ask specific questions about players or anything like that, but like his mentality on recruiting, his approach on recruiting. I definitely think that will be an issue that a lot of people talk to him about.
He'll be asked a lot about the transfer portal, about, how do you find a Kenneth Walker? How much did that have to do with your success when you're trying to build a program?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be, and as you mentioned too, for him to get that contract last year, it's a massive contract for, he's the highest paid African American coach in any sport.
Right.
So that's why it definitely, for some people, they will want to ask about that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that we have seen one of the big differences with Mark D'Antonio and Mel Tucker. I guess one would be recruiting philosophy, but the other one would be access and communications. It's not like we can sit in and watch every practice, but if you want Mel Tucker, you can get him. A lot of people have his phone number. He goes out of his way. He doesn't hide behind athletic communications. He was out at the golf tournament last week when we were there for the Lansing Promise. Then he did another special event, invitation only, with some national people the following day. And now he's got another big deal today with WKAR with Gene and Maya Washington. Looking forward to that. And then Friday, he's got another deal with a lot of media people. So he is doing more than any Michigan State coach I can remember, probably since Duffy Doherty.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to the fact, too, that, he wants people to know about the program.
Yeah.
Not just, on the surface. I mean, he really wants people to understand the program and the culture.
Right.
And even him, really, you know. He was very candid in the Bruce Feldman article, as you just mentioned a little bit earlier, about, Selma, going to Selma and being a part of that series with the Big Ten. He was the only football coach there. No other football coach went on that, that trip. So I just kind of think it speaks, volumes in that sense. But I mean, that's just how he is. I mean, he's very personable. He wants people to get to know him and the program and the players, and he's pretty much an open book about it.
Odd, when we talk about football season starting, hey, we've got high school games.
I know.
The end of next month. What are we, 5 weeks away? Something like that. Looking forward to that, of course. That means the fifth quarter, and you've got your coaches show back for another year, right?
Oh yeah, we are really going to start ramping up here. That's why I said today. My mind has already switched. Like, we're in football season today, starting today. It all begins today. Practices for all fall sports begin in 2 weeks. First day of high school football practice is August 8th. First day of fall camp for college is August 3rd at Michigan State.
Yeah.
And then, so we'll start our 2-a-day coverage starting on August 8th, where we go to 20 schools in 10 days to give everybody a preview of what to expect this upcoming high school season. Really excited for DeWitt's opener against Hazlitt at the Big House. That should be fun. And, we have the coaches show, as you mentioned, too, that I know last time you had me on, couldn't tell you everything, but it is going to air in Detroit this year, and Grand Rapids, Lansing, Marquette, and there's
Friday night again? Is it going to be on Friday nights?
Going to be Saturdays.
Saturdays.
So Saturdays at 11 and 11:30. So between 11 and 11:30 on Saturdays.
Okay.
So it is. At least it depends on which. So for WLAJ, I believe it's 11 o'clock, and WLNS is 11:30. So it's CBS will butt right up into college football. Okay. So for 12 o'clock kickoff. So it's a lot of good stuff around the corner, around the bend.
I had a question about your staff. Okay. I know that you've had an intern, Dallas Fincher, working with you from the football program. And to show you how old I am, I actually covered his dad, Mark Fincher, when he was a Michigan State offensive lineman. But you also have Nick Mantis and Ian Kress, right? Ian's going to be with you in Indianapolis.
Correct.
If they decided to do a first-person series and go through all of fall conditioning and camp with a different high school team, which one would do better?
Oh, Jack, I can't answer that. That's like asking me to, pick a side, pick a choice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to my team because we're a team.
Okay, all right.
That's not how I roll. I don't pick favorites.
Okay,
so,
well, I didn't say favorite. I just wondered, who would last longer. That's okay. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We can always just put them to the test themselves.
That's right.
And then everybody else can see it. How about that?
That's a deal. I like it.
I will say this, since we're talking about staff, we just hired our fourth person.
Okay.
And she is going to be joining the team August 15th. It's her first official day.
Great.
I'm not going to steal that thunder from her either. I'm going to let her make her own announcement.
Okay.
As to who it is, but
you said she, so that's one clue, right?
So there's one clue right there, but that's all I'm going to.
Is she from Mid-Michigan? Would we know her?
Nope, you will not know. No one in
Okay.
Mid-Michigan. Well, there might be a few people in Mid-Michigan who know her, but she's not from the area.
Okay.
So, yeah.
When you're making a hire, how much authority do you have in that? How much say do you have in that, Aud, or is this a company decision?
No, that's, for the most part, it's my news director and I's decision.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I mean, we both together are involved in that.
Gotcha.
And, yeah, it's a 1-2, you know, he essentially, I guess, filters out, you know,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to look through every single candidate.
Right.
But then
right.
after that, I look through the candidates that I like, and I send to him, and I say, these are the people that, you know, I'd like to talk to.
Right. Well, you are the only female sports director that we have had in Mid-Michigan, correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, Jack, I'm pretty sure that.
Pretty sure you are, unless someone fooled me. But I think that
you would know, probably. No.
yeah,
Yes.
I think that would be you. How much? I don't want to say pressure, but how much of a factor is it, or should it be, Aud, that there is diversity in a staff, that there's female representation, or that there are minority hires?
I mean, I think it's very important. I think it's extremely important. You know, there also has to be a sense of, I don't believe in just giving someone a job because of a gender or,
Sure.
you know,
Right.
anything like that.
You to be able to
but,
do the job, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in the fact that I do think that there needs to be diversity. I think that when it comes to like women versus men type thing, there are just some things I think that women are a lot better at in certain roles than men, and there's things that men are a lot better at than women in certain, you know what I mean? So it's a collective, and that's why that's why I call it a team. You know, even though I'm sports director, I mean, we're a team. So there's things that I do probably, you know, better than Nick or Ian, and there's things that Nick and Ian do that are, you know, probably better than me. And so it's just one of those things where, but I do believe in diversity. I think diversity is very important, and I think that it's important too because I don't know if you're familiar. This is not sports related, but it's TV related.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, who has become one of my very good friends at Channel 6.
Sure.
He was from California. He came into the area. He makes it very well known to everybody that he is gay.
Right.
And he has connected with so many people, and so many people are like, you know, it's important. Like, my son saw you on TV, and, you know, like, you really helped him through his day that day because there's representation. I've had parents come up to me and tell me that, you know, their little girls love watching me because there's representation.
Right.
And I think that's important because, you know, that's sort of what our country has been built upon, too, is giving opportunities to people, no matter what race, religion, you know, ethnicity, you know, sex, gender. I mean,
Sure.
you name it.
Right. Right. And we saw that with Lisa before you, and we saw that with Al Martin, also at Channel 6. I think since Al left to go to WKAR, I don't know if there's been a black or Hispanic sports person in the market. I could be wrong, but I don't think there has been. But
we came close to hiring someone a couple years ago, but it didn't pan out.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, like I said, obviously it's all about being qualified, but everybody, you know, like, people have experiences that they go through in life, and it makes them qualified. So at the end of the day, if you're qualified, it doesn't matter what. And that's my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
You could argue against it, you know, but that's my opinion. It doesn't matter. If you're qualified, you can get the job done, you're a hard worker, and you're passionate about what you do, then that doesn't matter.
What's the most important thing you look for in someone you want to be on your team?
I look for passion. I'm, you know, very drawn to people who are passionate about what they do.
Right.
And also work ethic. That's the second thing for me. You have to be a hard worker. You have to be willing to put the time in and invest in it. And 3, you know, team player, no egos. You can't have an ego. I don't look for any of the, I mean, those are the top 3 things that I look for right off the bat: passion, work ethic, and, are you humble? Like, are you a good team player? Like, those are my top 3 things.
Hey, Rob, it should come as no surprise to anyone that Audrey Dahlgren would value passion and hard work and being a team player. It's kind of like looking in the mirror and hire a representative who fits with that model. Hey, we are going to see you tomorrow morning, but once again, you're smarter than we are. We're leaving at 4:30 a.m.
Woo, Jack, that is early.
Yeah, I'm getting on the Crawford bus, so that's when we're going, and we'll get back Wednesday night. Are you coming back Wednesday evening too?
Yeah, we are. So that'll be a long day for us as well. We won't get back until probably 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Wednesday, Thursday morning technically, but
We will see you tomorrow morning for Kevin Warren over at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Sounds good, Jack. Drive safe.
Audrey Dahlgren, sports director of WLNS Channel 6. I don't know that we've ever had that kind of an interview with Aud before, but that's good. That's stretching a little bit and starting the football season.
Yeah, and I must say, and I'm going to let a little bit of a cat out of the bag here. We got a few minutes before Tom Lane comes on.
Yeah.
I just loved what she said about it doesn't matter about, race, ethnicity, it doesn't matter if you're qualified, you're qualified. And the reason that it really resonated with me a little bit is because, as you know, Jack, I have a slight case of cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
So I don't let that deter me. So it was just good to hear Audrey say that as she continues to build her great team over there.
Well, I think everyone would agree that if you are qualified,
you're qualified.
You should be a candidate for the job. My question is, if it's a tie or close to a tie, and your staff, and I believed it at the Lansing State Journal, and it took a long time before Brian Calloway showed up. And I would say that, having worked there for 25 years, that news organization should look like the community it covers.
Yes, absolutely.
Should reflect that.
Yep.
And if you have a staff of all white males, and trust me, there are a lot of sports departments that do. There are a lot of broadcast stations that do. And if you have that, then I don't think that you're really reflecting your community, and you're probably not doing your job.
Correct.
All right, we will be back in just a minute. I see Tom Lang in the house.
Oh, he's coming in.
Time for the long drive. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. A Dallas airport is trying to get back to normal after a woman started shooting a gun near the ticket counters. It happened at Love Field.
We don't know where exactly the individual was aiming. The most of what we're seeing now, she was aiming at the ceiling.
Police Chief Eddie Garcia says the 37-year-old woman was shot by cops and has been rushed to the hospital. Garcia said the woman was acting erratically.
Some sort of hoodie on or some other different type of clothing that she had when she walked in. She produces a handgun and begins firing.
The airport was evacuated and flights were grounded. Crews with the TSA are now working to get people back through security. President Biden is recovering nicely from COVID. That's according to Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who says the president's symptoms have now almost completely resolved. Biden completed his 4th day of the antiviral treatment Paxlovid Sunday. O'Connor issued a report saying the president's lungs remain clear and he's experiencing no shortness of breath. Biden's pulse, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and temperature remain normal. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in, and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks, and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger. Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
This is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with Tom Lang, Mr. Michigan Golf Journal. That means it is time for the long drive segment. Tom, how are you?
Day?
No.
Yeah, this is the perfect day outside. Like 75 and no humidity.
Yeah.
Wish I was golfing. As much as I love you, I wish I was golfing.
You're not playing in that celebrity event tomorrow with the Rocket Mortgage Classic, are you?
Oh, I'm not big enough for that. No.
I thought maybe, they would say, Izzo, there's no room for you. We got Lang.
We got another time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My dreams.
I figured that would be a good foursome. Izzo, Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and Tom Lang.
There you go.
Yeah.
The fun part, though, is I always play my best golf on a course that's got bleachers and stuff set up for a Pro-Am.
There you go.
I always play my best there. I don't know why.
We had Brian Bemis on this show when we did our Masters remote and our Tigers opening day remote, and he told us that he would be playing in the USGA Adaptive Championship, National Championship. And we have Brian with us along with the winner of the women's competition from Western Michigan University. You want to do an introduction on Kim?
Yeah, we got Kim Moore with us on the line. She is the coach at Western Michigan for the Broncos, like Jack said, and they both competed very well this past week down at Pinehurst. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Doing real well.
Kim, I haven't had a chance to talk with you, but I've heard so much about you and your play and your coaching. Congratulations. What was it like down there at Pinehurst? And were you confident going in that you would be atop the leaderboard?
It was great. The USGA really put on an excellent event. Very professional. I mean, it felt like you were right there with the pros and the U.S. Open and the U.S. Women's AM and all those USGA events. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't too sure because I didn't know everybody in the field, but looking at handicaps and things like that going in, I felt I had a pretty good chance. And, I always go out and try to do my best. And, it was a great week. The golf course was in great shape, a little hot out there.
as Brian would probably say. But it was fun. It was an awesome experience.
My question is for both of you, but let's start with Brian. The comments coming out of Pinehurst in the media and from players and everything I saw was that this was a huge opportunity to open the average person's eyes to what people can do who have to adapt because of physical limitations to play the game we all love. Brian, did you feel that same way, and what kind of message do you think got out there?
Oh, my God, it was amazing, Tom. I had an experience. I got to play with Jake Olson. And if anybody in sports knows who Jake Olson is, long snapper, USC, blind, amazing, just flat out amazing. Watching his dad line him up and do what he needed to do for him to hit a golf ball. First hole, both days, 260 down the middle. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I would love to give him my eyes for him to see the shot that he hit, for how beautiful it was. I mean, seriously, it was amazing. And Kim, seriously, you dominated. You were the best player there. Let's be honest here. You're the best woman player in the world for a reason. I know you. You dominated. It wasn't even close. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt or anything. But Kim was, and I've told you this before, Jack and Tom, she was Tiger Woods of women's adaptive golf.
Yeah.
A long time ago, and she just keeps it rolling. She's awesome.
Brian, I know.
Thank you, Brian.
I know, Brian, what a Michigan State fan you are. Fan is putting it mildly. But when you were with Jake Olson, did you remind him that the Spartans had beaten the Trojans 3 straight times?
Yeah, and I also told him that coming into the Big Ten that USC is going to have to learn to play defense in order to win a game. And he was like, yeah, we're going to learn that very quickly when we get to the Big Ten.
Well, Kim, I don't want to just get away from golf here, but it's interesting that Western Michigan and Michigan State open the football season on September 2nd. Maybe you and Brian can get around in that weekend somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, but I actually will be gone for a golf tournament. Our team plays that weekend. Our team plays up in Kewadin, Michigan at the Ajaming Resort there.
Yeah.
We play Labor Day weekend. I was excited to see that, and it's a kind of a bummer, but no, I'm sure Western Michigan will put a beating to them.
And I'm okay with not actually have to play against Kim again, because I don't need my butt whooped any more than normal.
Kim, for a golf coach, what does it mean to your athletes when they see what you have done and they know that you're not just someone who's talking the game, you're one of the best in the world at what you do?
I mean, I would hope it'd give me a little credibility with them. I know a lot of them that week I was there were just shooting me texts and, saying congratulations and good luck and just, they were rooting for me. And, when they won, they sent me some great texts and words of inspiration. But, I mean, I'm sure they still probably think of me as just coach and, but I definitely think it'll give them a little credibility. And, I think they've seen my resume and, hopefully that helps give a little bit of meat to my words, I would say.
Hey, Brian, you and Kim were 2 of the Michiganders down at Pinehurst, but there were 2 more. Was there any kind of a Michigander reunion, so to speak, or what do you know about the other 2 and how did they play?
I know that Tracy, he struggled a little bit with the humidity and everything, and he was having issues with his knee / stump or like residual limb for his prosthetic. And then Sophia, the young lady from Hudsonville, I don't really know much about what she did, to be honest with you. We're on different times with tee times and everything, and when we got off the golf course, I should say, we were dealing with media and everything, so not able to catch up until the final day, really, of everything. So
then maybe there should be a Michigan reunion or something.
Oh God, I don't need another beating.
Kim, when you look at the leaderboard on the USGA site, it just lists a body part it says leg or arm or something else. Can you describe to our listeners who may not be familiar with your story the adaptations that you have had to make, and what's been the toughest part of that challenge?
Well, I was born with the birth defect, and so, I mean, I was born without a right foot, considered a transtibial amputee, also born with severe clubbed left foot. So I've had a prosthetic all my life, ever since I could walk. I also was born with a little case of spina bifida in my lower back, and so I was told I wouldn't be able to walk when I was younger, but my parents just kind of saw me hop right up on my stump and kind of just take off when I was little, and they kind of looked at each other and was like, "We better get this girl a prosthetic limb." So, it's something I've had all my life, and I really give credit to those who really have some sort of traumatic experience, and then all of a sudden they don't have anything, or they're missing their limb, or something traumatic happened, which can really change the course of their life. But for me, it was just kind of, I didn't know anything different, and so, I've always had just to make little adjustments here and there with things that I do. I'm a pretty active person. I try to play a lot of sports. I played a lot of sports growing up, and every little thing I would do, I'd have to make some sort of adjustment, especially in running and things like that. But I played soccer. I could kick a ball, and I played softball. I played basketball, and as those games got a little faster, a little more aggressive, it was time for me to kind of pick up something a little different. And so, golf was kind of my next challenge. But it's just, as Brian would say, or any of the players at the Adaptive Open would say, you are dealt with a certain challenge, and you learn how to adapt.
Hey, Brian, we've been talking to Kim about her team at Western Michigan. You work at Country Club of Lansing. That's kind of your team. What was the response of the membership there, your friends, fellow staff?
Oh, Tom, it was absolutely amazing. The membership at the club actually helped, for me, raise a little bit of funds and everything to help me get down there and everything to make this process just happen. And it was unbelievable. The staff down there at the staff at our club, I'm sorry, amazing. I got text messages every day from about 7 or 8 different people just trying to catch up on what was going on. And like Kim said before, I mean, the event was just so big and so amazing. I mean, they made us feel like we were, whether it was a USAM, women's or men's, or US Open, men's or women's. I mean, we were the game in town, and it was awesome. They had 400 volunteers for our event. They had another list of 500 volunteers that wanted to, come out and help take care of us. And it was amazing. The event itself couldn't have been any better than what it was.
I get a real sense, this question's for either one of you, I get a real sense from the media activity that I followed and Twitter and all that it was a huge disappointment that this was not heavily televised. What kind of whispers were you guys hearing around the event or since?
Well, we had. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I have a great answer to this because on Sunday prior to the first round, we had a welcome banquet where all the players and caddies and some of the USGA people were there, just kind of a welcome type thing. And I was sitting with the CEO of the USGA tournament director and some more USGA people right there at my table, and we were chatting, and I was talking, and I was like, I think this would be such a great event to put on TV, maybe have some live coverage. I know you'd get a lot of spectators. I know you would get a lot of media coverage, and they were definitely on the same page as me, and they were like, we're this being the first inaugural event, something that they are definitely going to have in the works is what they were talking about, trying to use this as kind of a trial run and see the media attention behind it. But I have a feeling we're going to have something here in the near future.
Kim, when you think of someone like Tiger Woods and what he is going through now, you can probably relate to that better than any of our listeners, but he hasn't had the experience of being born without a foot and having a club foot on the other leg. And Brian, he hasn't had cancer where he's lost his leg. If you had a chance to tell him something about adaptive golf or talk with him, Brian, what would you want to talk to him about? What would you ask him besides how's it feel to win all those championships?
Me talking to Tiger?
Yeah.
I'd be like, look at your friend Casey Martin, who he played college golf with out at Stanford.
Yeah.
Who's the head coach at the Oregon Ducks. I mean, Casey lost his leg. I expect to see Casey in the next one or two of these events with the USGA. I mean, Tiger and Casey used to battle head-to-head in competition in college, so he knows how good he is. So I would like to think that not necessarily the tour pro by any stretch, but a good player will start to understand that us in the adaptive world can compete at a high level, and it's only going to get better and better and better from there.
Kim, what would you say to Tiger about what you do and what he can do after the crash and overcoming adversity?
Yeah, I just think, with Tiger Woods and his just mentality of how he's grown up and been, one of the best, if not the best player in the world. And, he has a mindset and a work ethic that is beyond anybody else. And, I mean, this is another obstacle for him, but I could see him, being just fine. With his mentality and his work ethic, I'm sure he'll find a way. And, it's just a matter of finding what's comfortable and things that he can do and, learning along the way. But again, he's got that undeniable, very special work ethic that a lot of people don't have. And when you're going through a setback, that's what it takes.
Well, speaking of Tiger, he was pretty active on Twitter during your event and was talking about, now this is really growing the game, folks, if you weren't sure, and you got to watch this. Were there any other messages from anyone else that jumped out at either one of you?
Go ahead.
I saw one from Michelle Wee, which was pretty cool as well. Congratulating everybody in the field, and it's an event that people should be tuning into, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely! I thought that was amazing. I mean, honestly, I would love it doesn't have to be like a top tier, professional to come watch us, but come watch us. You will be blown away by the ability and talent of these young ladies and individuals, men, that will just be like, oh my God, I can't believe they're actually doing this. And that will inspire the uninspired, if you will, for those that are, limb deficient or someone that's going through something, to go, I can go and play this game. And that's all that we want, is to grow the game.
Kim Moore, congratulations on your championship and good luck to your Broncos team this season. Brian Bemis, I knew you would be a great representative there, and I'm sure we'll see you this fall, or if not before.
Yes, thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you guys so much. This has been a great experience.
I think these are perfect representatives of the state of Michigan and shows what adaptive golf can be.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
We knew they could teach the game. They can play the game, too. So, pretty good stuff.
Great event.
Want to talk to you before we are joined by Tom Kang for the Tom Lang, Tom Kang segment from Forest Acres and Golf MSU about what is going to happen at Detroit Golf Club. A lot of players there today playing the course. Tomorrow, you got a special event, and then is there a Pro-Am on Wednesday?
There is, yeah. Today the course is closed just for players and caddies to check things out.
Mm-hmm.
Superintendents were working really hard at 4 a.m. this morning getting things ready. Tomorrow there is a special event called the 313 Challenge. You mentioned it a little while ago. Tom Izzo's playing at it again for at least his second, maybe third year.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders is a really good representative of the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
Yeah.
Darren Larkin and Calvin Johnson are going to be out there as well.
Okay.
Just raising money for charity. It's just a 3-hole scramble with Will Zalatoris and Ricky Fowler and some other pros. And it's just for fun. It's for the fans to get a chance to get some autographs and pictures and raise some money. Wednesday is the Pro-Am, another great day for fans to go out and get autographs and pictures.
Tickets available for that?
Tickets are free on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tickets are free. So there's no cost to go down there. Free parking at University of Detroit.
Okay,
and a
that's great.
Shuttle ride to the front gate.
6 Mile in Livernois?
Yep. And so the real deal starts on Thursday morning, and I don't know if there's tickets left or not. They were selling quite well even a month ago. But just go to rocketmortgageclassic.com, and there's lots of information there.
You did a great job in previewing this event last night on Press Pass on the long drive, and I think we answered a lot of questions. What questions do you think most of our listeners might have about this event if they haven't been there? Those who have are probably going back.
I agree. I think a lot of people who have been there just loved it so much. I guess I would never have a question about going myself, so it's hard for me to picture somebody else's reservations, but it's a safe event. Not the most wonderful part of Detroit, but not a bad part either. Very well covered with...
Tell me about Detroit Golf Club.
Beautiful place. It's over 100 years old. They have two 18-hole courses, both designed by Donald Ross.
Right.
They play the PGA Tour event on the North Course.
Okay.
But what's interesting to me is they went back to the original routing that Donald Ross had, where you go out the front of the building for the first tee. In more recent years, they've put the first tee out behind the building, which is number 3 for the tournament and the original routing. So that's pretty cool. The green complexes are what it's really known for. Definitely a putter's course, but whoever does the best at putting should be in the top 10 and or win this thing.
Is it long enough? Is it tough enough to scare the pros who will be there, or is this going to be birdie bonanza?
It can be a birdie bonanza, but it's really easy to miss the cut too. And some pros have shot over par there. But the winning score has always been 20 under or more.
Okay.
So definitely a lot of birdies.
So
some eagles.
You have to average better than 5 under per day.
If you want to win it, yeah.
You want to win it.
That's for sure. But it's heavily tree lined.
And what's the course record? Or what's the tournament record? Someone shot 63, 62.
Oh, for one round?
Yeah.
That's not on the top of my head right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe the winning score the first year was like 25 under.
Yeah.
Something like that. Very close to it, give or take a stroke.
Wow. All right. We have Tom Kang with us from Golf MSU and Forest Acres. And Acres awarded the honor as one of the top teaching facilities and academies in the country. Tom, we talked with you a little bit earlier this summer. Again, congratulations on that award.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you having me back on the show.
So with what that has meant to Forest Acres and the credibility that goes with it, what kind of feedback have you gotten from the players you work with? How much has it enhanced the reputation, which was already rock solid?
We've gotten great feedback from the students that we work with. We're getting a lot more lesson requests. We just don't have as many staff members that the instructional members that we probably would need. But we're doing our best to keep up with all the lesson demands and teach and keeping up getting new students as well. So it's been great for us overall.
Tom, I want to ask a few questions about Forest Acres West, the course itself. Right now, today, you're hosting the GAMS Junior Girls Amateur.
Yep. I'm just sitting on the balcony here watching them finish shot 18 right now.
I almost came out there before the show just to see how things were going.
Yeah.
You guys hosted a U.S. men's amateur qualifier.
This last week, I believe,
Yeah, it was won by Colton Smith, and then second was Troy Taylor from Michigan State.
Yes, sir.
So they both qualified to go to the U.S. Amateur.
Yeah.
You host high school state finals every year. You host a lot of other GAM events.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about your course and the setup and the design and your administrative staff that makes all these organizations want to come to Forest Acres for holding championships?
Number one and foremost, I think it's just the golf course itself. I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, around mid-Michigan. That's just my opinion. I might be a little biased because I've been here for 20 years, but it's always in great shape. I think it's a fair test of golf, whether it be if you're playing from the gold tees, which are the women's tees, versus all the way to the back, which stretches out to about a little bit over 7,000 yards. So might not be PGA Core or PGA Tour lengthwise, but I think it's a fair test to any amateur golf. And second would be our staff. All the full-time managers here with we have over 150 MSU student employees, LCC, some high school employees that we have every season. We try our best to, make sure that every, whether it be a outing or state event or a GAM amateur event, that we're here ready to work and make sure that everything's running smoothly as possible.
I was out there last Wednesday for the Lansing Promise event, and Tom, I think the course was in as good a shape as I can remember for this point in July. It was really well manicured, and I think everybody had a great time. For the players who come to you, we're talking about new students, what's the biggest thing that you have to work with? I've heard a couple of pros say that 90% of the players they work with slice the ball. What's the most common problem that you see?
Most common problem that I see, it all depends on, their skill level. I mean, we get all sorts of students or lesson requests from a person, who's been never golfed before and doesn't know what a putter is, to somebody who, is a scratch, to a single handicap that wants to have less three putts or hook, not hook the ball as much if they miss it.
Right.
So to me, I think the number one thing that I hear from students is they want to be consistent.
Yeah.
The consistency, it could be, consistency be a little different as far as if you're a single handicap player versus somebody who just, starting game or who can't break 100. So just trying to get them to hit the middle of the club face a lot more often and more repetitively, I think would be probably one of the key things that at least I go about when I'm trying to help a student out just to get a little bit better, knock a few strokes off of their handicap.
Hey, Tom, I don't know if you were on the air with us yet when Jack was asking me what the course record was down at the Rocket Mortgage, but I think I know the name, but not necessarily the number of who has the course record at Forest Acres West. Is it, I think it's 62 by Luke Donald when he played there in the Big Ten tournament as a Northwestern golfer. Does that sound right?
That sounds right. I don't know if 62, I thought it was 64. I would have to double check on that one, but it might be 62. But yeah, Luke Donald, when he played during the Big Ten, I think that's what the record is so far.
Maybe it would be 62, Tom, because your 7 63s that you've had didn't qualify, right?
God, as much as we all teach out here, I wish I had more time to practice and play tournaments, but oh well.
Tom, thanks so much for joining us. We're really enjoying this series of conversations each week with the teaching staff at Forest Acres. And a reminder, hey, when you're recognized by Golf Digest as one of the top teaching academies in the country, it's for good reason. We'll be out there and see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jack, for having me on the show again. Have a great day.
All right. Tom, have fun out at Detroit Golf Club. Looking forward to your report next week.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not be on Press Pass next Sunday. We're going to give you the night off. You might be in a playoff at that point, right?
The pros, down at Detroit Golf Club could easily be going that late.
We will see you a week from tomorrow back here in the studio. Look forward to that.
Sounds great.
All right. We will be back with Hour 2, and you're going to hear from Jim Stark, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy, and you're also going to hear from Bob Trippi, our Director of Research. Last thing, Tom, the tickets that were up for grabs, those are gone, right? Those, you have winners for those?
We do.
Fantastic. That means some listeners, some people who are associated with this show will be headed out to the Rocket Mortgage Classic Friday and Sunday. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
Facebook is launching a new feed that'll favor users' friends and family. The current news feed will now be called Home. It'll be an algorithm-driven discovery engine based on users' online activity. The new tool called Feeds will show posts in chronological order with newest activity at the top. CEO Mark Zuckerberg of parent company Meta says it's one of the most requested features. Twitter partly blaming Elon Musk for missing expectations in its latest quarterly earnings report. It said revenue didn't meet predictions due to uncertainty related to the pending acquisition of Twitter by an affiliate of Elon Musk. Revenue came in at just under $1.2 billion, but analysts have been predicting more than $1.3 billion. Monetizable daily active users came in at just below 238 million. Experts were looking for something just above that number. And federal prosecutors have announced the first insider trading case involving cryptocurrency. A former product manager for Coinbase and two others charged with wire fraud. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks, and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger. Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
This is your Spotlight on Sports History for July 25th. I'm Rob Bennett. On this day in 1940, American John Sigmund begins swimming for 89 hours and 46 minutes from St. Louis to Missouri in the Mississippi River. That's 292 miles, the longest solo swim of all time. On this day in 1978, Cincinnati Reds' Pete Rose sets a National League record by hitting in 38 consecutive games. On this day in 1999, Lance Armstrong wins his first of 7 consecutive Tour de France's, but is later disqualified for drug cheating. And finally, on this day in 2021, the U.S. men's basketball team sees their 25-game Olympic winning streak end, beaten by France in the opening round in Tokyo, 83-76. Stay tuned for more with The Drive with Jack right now on Spotlight.
Back, it is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Rob, in studio, we have Jim Stark, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy Executive Director, and I hope I'm not spilling the beans here, but I was just looking at a video project you've got in the works too, right?
We're still not going to talk much about it.
You want to kind of keep that on the down low,
Yeah.
Right.
But you see, it's coming along.
Yeah,
it's coming along.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there's too many.
I want to tease people here.
Well, there's too many unanswered questions yet. So as soon as I can answer them, we'll. But I'd rather do that than to start throwing things out and then not be able to put it together. I don't like that either. So
I thought maybe Rob would come up with a big contribution if we talked about it, but that's all right.
Yeah, let's just hold off on it
We'll
a
do
little
that
bit
another
more.
time.
A little bit more.
All right.
So
talking about contributions, the Detroit Tigers need several contributions to their offense.
yeah, you think they're going to be in the Juan Soto Derby? What do you think?
No.
No, I don't think
I think
so
they
either.
might be in the Gregory Soto trade.
Well, like I said, I think the American League did the best thing they could have for the Tigers by naming Soto to the All-Star team, because that makes his resume that much more attractive. And let's face it, this is now the time. We're going to start hearing more and more about potential deals, possible deals that would be. But right now, the Tigers are as low as they've been all year, Jack. Okay, when they started the season, Jack, here was their the rotation, right? You had the big three.
Yeah.
You had Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, and Matt Manning. Three high draft pick, well, 2 high draft picks and Skubal.
Yeah.
Unlimited potential, the promise of tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. Plus, they signed Eduardo Rodriguez, who was arguably the top free agent on the entire pitching market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They signed Michael Pineda, who has been, when he's healthy, been a very, very good major league pitcher. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was their. We were all excited, right? That was going to be the start of this year, where they're going to turn the corner. And you know what their starting rotation is right now?
Mm-hmm. They have Bo Brisky.
Tarek Skubal, Ronnie Garcia, and Drew Hutchinson. You could add in Garrett Hill, maybe. But Jack, Faedo is out. Bo Brisky is out.
Mm-hmm.
It is just frightening, the injury list in the pitching department. I mean, we didn't even heard of Drew Hutchinson and Ronnie Garcia and Garrett Hill, and now they're part of the starting rotation.
Right.
It's as bad as we could have. To me, this is as bad as we could have imagined it this year.
I'm not upset about the pitching. I'm really not. I think that if you look at the injuries, the epidemic they've had, what do you expect?
Oh, that's true. But now what's carried them for the first half of the season was the relief pitching. Well, now they're starting to see some holes because those guys are not as good as they were in the first half.
Their pitching has still been better than you would have expected if you'd said to be on 15 starting pitchers.
Yes.
And they've had Fulmer out. They've had so many other guys out. The fact that they've pitched as well as they have has been a pleasant surprise. The hitting,
has
been so abysmal.
Abysmal. There's no other word for it. Yeah, they finally sent Spencer Torkelson down. I looked today before I came in. I see that unfortunately Riley Green is inching ever closer to the Mendoza line, going the wrong way.
He was robbed of a home run yesterday.
Yeah, well, and don't get me wrong, he's been a breath of fresh air, right?
Hey, he's walking. He's doing a lot of other things, playing great defense.
The hitting is not
He
his
is
issue.
not the problem.
Right. But the reason I mention it is because it drags everybody down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Poor hitting, everybody, like it's like a vacuum. It just sucks everybody down.
Yeah.
And when you've got a few guys that are hot, it makes the other guys get better pitches. If nobody's hot, pitchers can pitch any way they want to anybody.
If you are counting on a rookie who's not been in major leagues before, who misses the first 60 games of the year to be your answer.
Yeah, it's pretty frightening. Yeah. And when you look at the lineup of the outfield they put sometimes with Reyes and as much as we like Akil Baddoo, those guys are Rule 5. They were let go by a team for $20,000. And that's your outfield? It's to me, we've bannered back and forth ever since the Hot Stove League last year about the job that the team has done from a major standpoint. Al Avila, to me, the proof is on the field. You can't argue that.
In 1 month and 6 days, Jim, it will be exactly 5 years since the Tigers traded Justin Verlander to the Astros for Franklin Perez. Right, he was supposed to be big-time starting pitcher. Daz Cameron, Mr. Five-Tool, and Jake Rogers. Daz Cameron was supposed to be in the outfield by now. That's 5 years ago.
A starter in the outfield, absolutely. And well, I want to say this. Why didn't they get Yordan Alvarez in that deal? Yordan Alvarez is a all-star right now.
They didn't want him. They wanted the other three.
Well, I don't know that to be a fact, but if they didn't want him, shame on them because that guy is now an all-star for the Astros.
Well, they didn't get the Astros' top 3 prospects. They got Perez was a good prospect, and the others were
how
prospects.
do you not get a top 3 for a guy who's now on his way to his, 4th Cy Young Award?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Pitching better than ever.
Better than ever. Well, and again, it's not surprising because when you come back from Tommy John, it's so much work to get back. You are in top shape, and he's proven it. 13 wins now.
Do you know what his record is since he joined Houston?
Oh, I could probably, and he's like
had 74 decisions.
I think he's like 60 or 55 and 20 or
56 and 18.
Yeah,
you're close.
Yeah. I know it was just incredible. He is cemented
ERA under 2.5.
He is cemented. If there was any doubt about his Hall of Fame resume, this year coming back now start etching.
He
the
was
plaque.
in before he went to Houston with what he did with the Tigers and no-hitters.
Okay, I'm just saying if there was any doubter.
Now he's
etch it right now.
Climbing the list.
Send it to the engraver right now the frightening thing is the better he does, the more it sticks it down the Tigers' throat.
Yeah. If you look at what Justin Verlander is going to have for career accomplishments, you're going to be talking about him.
Oh,
and I didn't see this before.
Yeah.
You're going to be talking about him with Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez.
The top handful of right-handers. He's past Jack Morris. Yeah. He's definitely the best right-hander and maybe the best pitcher ever the Tigers had. You could argue that a little bit with
you'll be talking about him with Seaver and Maddox and those guys.
Yep.
It's all said and done.
And you'll definitely be talking as one of the greatest power pitchers with Seaver and Clemens and Nolan Ryan. I mean, his power numbers at this age are incredible.
So for the Tigers, in this, what do they have? 100? They have 66 games left.
Yeah, they're well past. Even though they call the All-Star game that break the halfway.
They played 96, so they got 66 games left. How many can they win?
Jack, if I think they're going to stretch to win 20.
So you don't think they're going to get to 60 wins?
No, I don't. Unless something happens. What's going to change, Jack? You know, anybody that would get hot would have gotten hot. Now, Spencer Torkelson, maybe he gets straightened out down in Toledo. Maybe Aubrey Meadows comes off the DL with one of those streaks you can see. Maybe Akil Baddoo gets hot. Maybe Javi Baez. But I've seen no indication of it.
To me, the big problem is Candelario and Baez. Now, Baez, he's got the most home runs on the team. Big deal. whatever that's worth.
That's being the tallest short person, right?
Yes. And scope. He gets a flash here and there, but for the most part, very disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Robbie Grossman, very disappointing.
Well, Grossman only had one good year. I guess we really shouldn't be so surprised, but Scope has had a pretty good career.
Well, and it's interesting because in talking with Pat Caputo last week,
I
brought up the idea of people always want to raise when they do well.
Yep.
That maybe Scott Coolbaugh should give some money back. And he said, he gets that question a lot. But a year ago, when Akil Baddoo and Robbie Grossman and Eric Haas and Jonathan Scope had career years.
Right.
Nobody ever talked about, this. What a great job Scott Coolbaugh had done. It wasn't like they wanted to double his salary, but that's what you're paid to do.
Hitting coaches, when they're doing well, it's the players doing. When they're doing poorly, it's the hitting coach's fault. It's one of those age old occurrences. You can't argue about it because it's people notice the players when they're doing well. But Jack, there's one thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
Just look at what's the one thing that's been the constant in that team in the last. Hitting coaches have come and gone. Pitching coaches have come and gone.
I know where you're going with
Base
this.
coaches have come and gone. Managers have come and gone. What's the one constant?
Al
Avila.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can't argue with what's. There's only so many excuses you can make about bad luck and sooner or later it's got to come back to him.
Would you consider yourself to be a baseball expert?
I don't know, expert. I think I know a little bit about baseball. Yep.
Do you think that if you had been installed as a Tigers general manager when Al Avila was, could you have done a better job?
Well, you know what?
It's not like you have to go out there and hit the ball.
No. But I'll
tell
you one thing. I would have done a better job of surrounding myself with better talent earlier in the front office. I'd have made sure I had, because I think he had subpar talent around him, either because he wanted to make the final decision as Matt Millen was off. Remember, Millen didn't want anybody around to argue with him. He wanted to make everything. So I think I would have made sure I had top flight talent around me, because he hasn't. Because how else could you make the excuse for drafting so poorly? He didn't have great talent around him as far as the guys making the selections.
I think general managers get evaluated on four things. One is choice of a manager.
Yep.
Good.
Oh, right now it's good. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Acquisition of marginal talent.
Poor to non-existent.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think that
okay, wait.
some of the guys they picked up.
I would say the guys that fill out the bottom part of the. Yeah. I would say decent there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you've done with high picks in the draft.
I think abysmal.
Casey Mize.
Where is he? And he was questioned about taking Casey Mize.
Yeah.
I mean, you got one guy in the minors, one guy in the DL. Before that, if you look before Casey Mize, those last several picks were, again, where are they?
And I keep going back to that. I hope you've seen the video of Pedro Martinez breaking down Casey Mize and saying, this guy does a lot of things right, but he's going to have Tommy John surgery.
You say he actually used those words.
He did. Couldn't believe it at the time. I said, what are you watching? What are you saying?
Well, and I know the fourth criteria coming up, right? It's the deals. The top
yes.
end. Okay.
Yes.
Jack,
what have you gotten back for your talent?
Tell me one deal where he got the better of the other team.
Haven't seen it yet.
Dave Dombrowski, we could point to half a dozen that he got the better of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it didn't always pay off in championships, but give me one deal where he came away with the better end of the deal. I can't think of one.
It's always tough when you have to unload top talent, but there comes a time where teams need to be broken up. I don't know if they did that too soon with the Tigers. You can argue that.
What did he
But what did they get for it? Nothing.
But what? Okay, and I agree. The market's what the market is, right? But what did he do when he was trying to trade the outfielder who eventually went to Cincinnati, the big right-handed hitter,
Nick Castellanos?
What did he said? There's who nobody wants him. What did that do to the market?
Yeah.
They all say, fine, no, we'll wait then. We'll wait. He hurt his own playing hand.
Yeah.
by saying nobody wants
Why
him.
did he say that?
Because could it be because he's just not a very good general manager? Dave Dombrowski was such a good card. You never wanted to be
a poker player.
You never wanted to be at the card table with him, right?
Yep.
Al Avila's like cards are falling out of his ear, and and he's dropping them on the floor. There's no other way to describe it, and he's had enough time.
All right. Is Gregory Soto gone by the end of the year?
Oh yeah.
For sure.
I don't see how he came to stay.
Who else?
Well, I don't know who else they want, but I thought that maybe Candelario might go because he is a player. I thought maybe some of those guys.
He's been the biggest disappointment to me because when they got him, okay, there was a guy from the Cubs organization who was blocked from playing, supposedly, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Chris Bryant was in his way. They weren't going to. So, he came to Detroit, and that was supposed to be their third baseman for more than a decade.
Right.
Can't get out of his own way.
And he's teased you with a little bit of improvement. Like, okay, now we're ready to get, and then but I would say Andrew Chafin, I think, is almost for surely a goner. I think Soto is likely a goner. I would say Michael Fulmer, but he's not pitched well. But he's definitely on the list of being a goner. Joe Jimenez is one. So there's the four.
And you think there are a lot of teams that would line up to get those guys?
Not line up, but they would take him to add to their late inning.
Would they take him and give you a top prospect?
No.
No, they wouldn't.
No. You're getting it. Maybe
you're getting somebody else's.
You're getting something for a guy that's probably going to leave at the end of the year. Whatever that's something. But again, there's no indication that Al Avila will get
Soto's
something
under
of value.
contract for a while, right? He's through next year.
He's worth something. Yeah, because he still has
throws the ball 100 miles an hour,
and he still has contract years.
I heard the Yankees were interested in Soto.
Well,
but they have Chapman now. So
but he's struggling. Chapman is struggling.
Chapman is struggling, and Chapman also is a contract guy. So
right.
But Soto's a guy. I heard the Yankees. Don't be surprised if they surprised us all and got Soto and Soto.
Well, I just can't imagine how they can afford to. I know they've got a good minor league system, but can they give the Nationals enough players without taking one of their core players for Soto? Does Judge have to go in that deal?
No.
No.
But
I tell you right now, I just heard it today. If you have Judge, you add Soto to that outfield right now, is that the best outfield of all time? I thought that was a little bit heady, but it's interesting. The idea of having a 23-year-old Juan Soto.
You know what? It might be from a power perspective.
It's hard. I mean, you have to really think about it, right? But
you could have a heck of a inter-squad home run derby between Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, and Aaron Judge.
Batting practice would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. But again, here's the thing. With Soto, you get a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
Judge is 30. I think Stanton is 32. I don't have it here, but right?
Yeah.
You're getting 10 more years out of Soto.
Yeah, if you can sign him.
If you can sign him. But
he's got 2 more years under team control.
Under team control. So he is a tremendous value. Tremendous value.
But I've heard that there are teams that are not necessarily even big market teams that would take him because his contract right now is reasonable.
I've heard San Diego would go big for them if they could get him.
And San Diego thinks it's a big market team, whether it is or not. They spend like it.
They spend like it. Texas is another one I've heard because they've been spending like drunken sailors the last year or so.
I heard Minnesota.
I never thought
$25 million.
I never thought Correa would go there.
Hey, Detroit, you're paying Miguel Cabrera that. Not that he would ever
You're right. You're not looking at signing him. You're looking at the next 2 years.
You're getting him for 2 years, and then what are you going to do? You're going to flip him, and then you're going to get a bunch of guys.
Do you give your 3 top prospects for a 2-year deal?
Well, if you are a team like, let's say, the Twins, okay, or the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Or a team that isn't there.
But close.
Now you add one of the 5 best bats in baseball.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You add him to it, you make a run. Right now, it's all about can you win it? It's not about how many times can you win 85 or 90
or
games.
Get close to it. It's all about winning it. You're
winning
right.
it.
Yep. And he's the kind of guy that could make a big difference. With a lineup that's good, he makes a good lineup great and a great lineup like the Yankees. Well, how do you pitch to that lineup?
What happened in 2006, Jim? You were there. Tigers lost to the Cardinals when they forgot how to field the
that
position.
was,
but the Cardinals were not a great team.
Nope. Oh, they were a good team, but they
didn't win 90 games.
They rose in the right time. They rose to the occasion. In the World Series, they were
very get hot
at the right time, right? But if Soto, we're talking Juan Soto now, if he can find the right niche, like a Minnesota or a Milwaukee, for crying out loud, something maybe out of the realm of thinking.
Rob, when the Red Sox finally broke through and won it, 2004, right?
That is correct.
How many games did they win in the regular season?
About, I want to say close to 90, 91.
100.
Yeah,
they were not. They were
in the high 80s.
They were in the high
or
80s.
maybe they
Low
touched
90s.
90.
Yep.
But we've had a lot of teams like this, Jim. The Giants seem like they won every other year, and they weren't winning 107 games in those years.
The Royals, the year they won.
Yeah. All you have to do is get in, be healthy, and get hot.
And get hot at the right time, and then be healthy. Right. Yeah. And that's where one or two deals can make a huge difference. Adding Verlander, for crying out loud, to Houston.
Oh yeah.
Right? Was just remarkable.
One more thing. I want to talk basketball for a second. Last night on Press Pass, we came up with some footage that we aired of Jaden Ivey.
Yep.
Dancing Jaden. Have you seen this?
No.
When he had to be like 15 or 16 years old, break dancing, and they used to bring him out at the Notre Dame games.
Oh,
he was the halftime show.
Really?
Oh, the crowd would go crazy. They'd bring him out dancing Jaden, and his mother would introduce him, and he'd go out there, and the crowd would.
One of the things I like the best about Ivy is his family history, his lineage, right?
Yeah,
he's got it's just dripping out of his ears.
Oh yeah,
between his father, his grandfather, his mother, there's just something special about him. You don't see that every day. A player with that kind of tremendous lineage in professional sports.
Yeah.
And you know it's an X factor, but you know what? It's a pretty powerful one. But I want to tell you before we get off basketball, though, Jack, you and I were texting the other day. Can you believe, after all the Piston additions, well, last year, just to recap, last year we thought Las Vegas was crazy when they said 25 wins.
Yeah,
I would have sold the farm and everything else, right? But and they were right, totally right. So this year they say 27.5. And Jack, I've been thinking about this, trying to take my hopium pipe and put it away for a minute.
Yeah,
you know, Marvin Bagley's an X factor. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Jalen Duran is an X factor. We don't know what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
The proven guys are pretty low on the list. They lost one in Jeremy Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now they got the two guys from we got Burke and Noel from
Alec Burks is
he's a proven guy.
Yeah.
So but they don't replace they're not all-stars. So their proven players are pretty low, and maybe that's how they arrive at 27.5 wins.
I guess, but to me, the big thing is if Cade Cunningham can stay healthy, because he wasn't last year. When he came back, it changed everything.
Right.
Their first month was so bad, atrocious. So if he can come back and deliver with Jaden Ivey in that backcourt, if you have one of the 5, 6, 7 best backcourts in the NBA, you ought to be able to win more than 27 games.
Jack, you think so. And in some ways, it might be the sum of the wholes is better than the part.
Here's the other thing I think that you're going to see this year. You're going to see improvement from somebody, and I think it might be Isaiah Stewart.
Yep. Well, we saw it a little bit in the summer league with the 3-point shooting.
Yep.
If he can become the starting power forward and shoot 35% from long distance, I think you're right. It changed the dynamic of this team.
And Sadiq Bey, does he play better? Does he play more consistently?
He's a guy that plays better with better players around him. He benefits from having Ivy. He benefits from having Durant. He benefits from having an improved Cade Cunningham.
And there were a lot of games last year when Cunningham was out and Grant wasn't in there, and he was the guy that defenses were geared to stop. He won't be now.
He's not the guy that can beat defenses on his own.
Right.
He's not that guy. But when he's got two other guys that the defenses are keying on, and he can.
Can he turn into a Chris Middleton?
Maybe. Oh, easily. Yes, easily Chris Middleton.
There's a guy that the Pistons drafted in the second round and let go.
Yep. So no, I think, and Middleton's a multi all-star.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's good. Yeah, I'm not sure he's your starting power forward.
No,
and he's not your
but
what do you
where
call
Stewart
it?
comes in.
Yeah, he's not your wing and D and 3 or whatever they call it. He's not that guy, but he's a good shooter. You find the right role for him and get a good team around him, he can light
and
you
that
up.
team's going to need shooting.
22, 24
Cunningham's
points a
not
night.
a great shooter, and Ivy is not a great shooter.
Right.
Either.
Right.
Great at getting to the basket.
So the 27.5, Jack, we'll have to think about more. But I'm thinking last year about how wrong we thought they were. So I'm going to kind of hold back my judgment a little bit until I see this team come together more in the preseason. But it seems awful low. Awful low.
Jim Stark, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy. Jim, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good, Jack.
Really appreciate it.
Good to see you here, and hopefully next week.
We'll be back on Tuesday.
When you're back from your road trip.
We'll be back on Thursday, but then we've got the Greater Lansing Area Sports Hall of Fame on Thursday. So
great
busy
week this week. Yeah.
We'll have to get you up here some year for
I
that
will.
Hall of
I
Fame
will
thing.
gladly come.
See how it works.
I would gladly come. It'd be an honor.
We will be right back, and Bob Trippey will join us, our Director of Research, #1 numbers cruncher, Captain Database, up next on The Drive with Jack.
At Culver's, we believe there's a right way to prepare a North Atlantic cod fillet sandwich, the traditional way. By traditional, we mean the way it's done all across the Midwest. We start with the finest, hand-cut cod fillets, batter each by hand, and cook crispy golden to order. No shortcuts, just hot and flaky, hand-battered goodness. So good.
It's a tradition, all right. Culver's North Atlantic cod fillet dinner or sandwich. Welcome to Delicious.
If your next event or holiday party has you feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant by Top of the Town, One North Kitchen and Bar has catering for every occasion from an award-winning chef. Book your next event by calling 517-901-5001. One North is the perfect place to get with family and friends for all the big games. Also voted Lansing's best sports bar, they have over 40 TVs, feature scratch cooking, amazing craft cocktails, and the largest draft beer selection in West Lansing. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Time for a career change? Looking to make a difference? Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our dedicated team of school bus professionals. Dean Transportation has immediate openings and offers paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license. With increased starting pay, benefit packages, flexible scheduling with weekday hours, and more, Dean Transportation may be the career choice for you. No experience needed. Apply now and train all summer. Head to deanjobs.com.
Jack Ebling here with Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, people buying cars different ways now with inventory changes.
They certainly are, Jack. It's a wild time, but we're still selling them. You might not see them on the lot, but they're still coming in every day, and we're still delivering them. So what we're finding is a lot of people, they come in, and they actually place an order for the vehicle instead of finding one on the lot that they want. Then that comes in within 7-8 weeks, and they take delivery.
We'll still want that great Graph service. They're making friends.
Fingernail and tongue changes can be clues to your current and future health concerns. Dr. Chi is the world-renowned expert in fingernail and tongue analysis. Wyckoff Wellness welcomes Dr. Chi back to East Lansing for individual fingernail and tongue analysis July 12th to 15th. Schedule your private appointment with Dr. Chi for just $40. Call 517-333-7270 to confirm your appointment today. That's 333-7270 or go to wyckoffwellness.com.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Cookie dough, salted caramel, Butterfinger. Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
This is your Spotlight on Sports History for July 25th. I'm Rob Bennett. On this day in 1940, American John Sigmund begins swimming for 89 hours and 46 minutes from St. Louis to Missouri in the Mississippi River. That's 292 miles, the longest solo swim of all time. On this day in 1978, Cincinnati Reds' Pete Rose sets a National League record by hitting in 38 consecutive games.
On this day in 1999, Lance Armstrong wins his first of 7 consecutive Tour de France's, but is later disqualified for drug cheating. And finally, on this day in 2021, the U.S. men's basketball team sees their 25-game Olympic winning streak end, beaten by France in the opening round in Tokyo, 83-76. Stay tuned for more with The Drive with Jack right now on Spotlight.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Rob, let's go right back out to our guest line. Very happy to have with us Bob Trippey, longtime State of Michigan sports writer. We're doing a lot of football coverage this fall, too. He is Captain Database, our Director of Research. Bob, you've got some information here on the brackets for PK85 and what that means for Michigan State. I think Tom Izzo thought that he was going to open against Portland, but that goes to the national champion North Carolina Tar Heels. Instead, Michigan State has a different assignment against Alabama.
Yeah, Jack, you better make sure. I don't know if you're going out there for the game or whatever, but
I'm not.
But you better make sure that if you're watching it at home or out there, you have a lot of caffeine, because that game's going to start at 10:30 p.m. on Thanksgiving night against Alabama, and then if they end up winning that game, they would play Friday night, the winner of the UConn-Oregon game at 10 p.m. I would think Tom would want to have a nice talk with his team, saying, "Listen, guys, we don't want to lose the game, because if we lose that game, then they have to play at 12:30 a.m. on Saturday morning."
12:30 a.m.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Michigan State went out to Arizona State to play football.
Yeah.
Remember, about 5 or 6 years ago? And it's like, oh my God, it's like 1:30 in the morning, and we're just starting the fourth quarter.
You know what? That stuff doesn't bother me at all. I'm up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't bother young people as much as you would think. I think a lot of older people go to bed early, and the older you get, the more likely you are to go to bed early. I know people who used to stay up till 11, and it was 10:30, and it was 10. Now, they barely see the streetlights come on, and so I don't think that is a big factor. I think it's a bigger factor when teams in the West are playing at times for Eastern television markets, like the Michigan-Iowa game this year, which I thought was going to be a night game. It's going to be a whiteout. Iowa City is famous for that. No, that's going to be a noon game. But you know what that means? 11 a.m. in Iowa. 11 a.m., most of the people I know are barely up at 11 a.m. Neil Koepke's still asleep at 11 a.m.
Yeah, I've been on the West Coast when there have been games on TV over there, and it's like 9 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get used to this. This is crazy.
Way too early to play football at 9 a.m. That's like ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, and I we can't leave out the women's team. They're also in that tournament too.
Right.
They're playing on Thanksgiving at 7:30 p.m. versus Iowa State, and the third place game is going to be held on Sunday at 1 p.m. and the championship game at 7:30 p.m. The other half of the bracket there would be North Carolina versus Oregon. So if Michigan State's able to get by Iowa State, they would play one of those two teams Sunday.
Okay.
So
lots of games for those who are going out. I am not going out for a couple of reasons. One is I might be going to a Thanksgiving football game. And you'll be there too, right?
I guarantee you. I already have friends coming in from Buffalo, and there's going to be a good representation of the Bills Mafia in downtown Detroit that day, including me.
Plus, there's a Michigan State football game on that Saturday, a home game that I think I'm going to want to be at against Rutgers. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not right. That's not right. That's later. I'm talking about the Armed Forces Classic. That game is Friday night, the 11th, and the Michigan State Rutgers game is at 12. So there's a lot of conflict here with football and basketball, but I think in football it's the Michigan State Penn State game, which is affected by that, right?
Yes.
And if Michigan State is playing for something at that point, if they're playing for a New Year's Six bowl, I'm going to be on my way to Happy Valley, and that's going to take precedent over any preseason football or a basketball game. However, I am going to try to make it to San Diego again. That was phenomenal in 2011, and 11 years later, I would look forward to a chance to see Michigan State and Gonzaga.
Yeah, that should be a very interesting matchup. Now one that looks good on paper right at this time.
No, you can look at the schedule, Bob.
Oh, boy.
And you can find 5 losses before they get into Big Ten play.
Yeah.
Not saying they're going to lose them all, but, you got Notre Dame, you've got Villanova. Those are certainly not gimmies, very tough challenges. And there's a chance they could get Villanova twice.
Right. Yeah.
Huh?
And then
they could get him in the PK. They could get him twice in a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that has, I'm trying to think if that's happened where they've ended up playing somebody like that twice within a matter of a month, outside of the Big Ten. We know that's happened, back to back. But I've been trying to recall whether, in all my years of covering Michigan State, where they've had a situation like that. I don't recall one.
I don't
know. No.
I do remember one time when, Irvin's second year when they won the national championship. They were in the Far West Classic, and so was Indiana. And the idea was that they would never play Indiana. Well, they did.
They did, yeah.
And they wound up, playing the Hoosiers and beating them again. So, but that doesn't happen very often. You have some great research. Let's start with the Michigan State players who are in the pros. What did you find? Who's on this list?
Well, right now, there's 23 players that are on 17 training camp rosters around the NFL. And we could go down the list. Carolina, for those who are Panther fans, Drew Jordan is a rookie, so he's down with the Panthers. Cincinnati still has Joe Bacci, a linebacker.
Right.
He got to see the field last year.
He was in the Super Bowl.
Yep. Cleveland's got Jack Conklin, and hopefully he stays healthy. And Detroit has
Joe Bacci,
Kevin
by the
Hart.
way, is still dating an item. I don't think they're married yet. Henry Bulla's granddaughter, Shane's daughter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holly, right?
Holly Bulla, yeah.
Oh, okay. Detroit's got Kevin Jarvis. Not too sure if he's going to make the team, because of the depth of their offensive line, but we'll see.
Right.
Jacksonville's got Raquan Williams.
Raquan Williams.
Wasn't he with Philadelphia?
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Shalik Calhoun has signed a free agent deal with Kansas City, so he's over there.
Good for him.
He might make the team, possibly. We'll see.
Right.
The Rams have Brian Allen, who signed a nice contract in the offseason. Yep. He's their starting center. And then A.J. Curry was the last Spartan drafted this year, and so he's going to be taking a shot at the offensive line.
Brian Hoyer is back.
Yes, Brian Hoyer's back. He is back for, what is this, his 14th year, 15th year?
His last season at Michigan State was 2008. So you're talking about 14.
14 years, yeah. So he's in New England with Matt Sokol, a tight end who's bounced
Whoever
around a
thought
little bit.
that Brian Hoyer would be in New England longer than Tom Brady?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You left out Minnesota if we're going in alphabetical order here. You got Kirk Cousins, could be his last year in Minnesota. We'll see how that works out. But,
you think?
Well, I don't know, because from what I'm reading, it sounds to me like the head coach really likes him as opposed to...
He made it through Mike Zimmer, who didn't like him.
Yeah, Zimmer apparently didn't really care for him based off of all the reports that have, surfaced after Zimmer was fired. So we'll see how that works out.
Take a look at his numbers last year, and there's a lot to like.
Well, yeah, especially if he plays the Lions. His numbers are really good.
Yeah, and the Bears. Yeah,
and the Bears. Jalen Naylor's over there, too. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch to see if he actually has a chance. He might make the practice squad, if anything.
Which team has the most Spartans?
Pittsburgh, which has Connor Hayward.
Okay.
Justin Lane, and believe it or not, Cody White is still with the Steelers.
Yeah,
and that was a guy that he bounced around too. So Philadelphia's got Josiah Scott, and New Orleans has Andrew Dowell, and then
Darquez Dennard.
Darquez Dennard is with San Francisco along with Tabor Pepper, who's a long snapper, and he signed an extension on his contract.
He's done very well.
Oh yeah,
Tabor
absolutely. Pepper. Yeah, when you think about a long snapper, it's not often that you hear of a guy that is able to sign a multi-year contract. But yeah, he signed a 2-year, $2 million contract. So,
and a guy who had done some things but is on an injured list, I guess, has been waived, was Kenny Willis, right? You saying?
Right. Yeah, he has an undisclosed injury, and he was waived by Minnesota. And as a result, they put him on the injured reserve list, which basically probably means that he's going to be lost for the season. And, nobody's really saying what the injury was.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't look like he's going to play at all this year based off of the reports coming out of Minnesota.
Only one of those players you mentioned, only one Michigan State player now in the pros has been all-pro. You know who that is?
Of the players I mentioned, it's been all-pro.
Right. I don't know if you mentioned him or not, but he's a Michigan Stater in the pros right now. He's been first-team all-pro.
Would it be Will Golston?
No, it would be Jack Conklin.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, yep. Okay. Yeah, that's right. At Tennessee, he was all-pro. And they signed a big contract, the free agent contract with Cleveland.
You had some very interesting information, too, about transfer quarterbacks. You've done a lot of work on that, and how many schools have them, and it's a surprising number.
Yeah, this is kind of caught my eye because there's been a lot of talk. I mean, I read a lot of the press conference notes that come out after these media days like you're going to, for the Big Ten.
Right.
And it started to hit me that, okay, I'm going to start counting up how many of these guys actually are being touted as the potential projected starting quarterback that were transfers. And we're not talking about junior college players.
Right.
We're talking about actual transfers from another, Division I school. So out of 131 FBS schools, 59 of them are projected to be starting quarterbacks.
So that's half, 44, right? Just about half.
Yeah, just about half. That's 44.3%.
Okay.
And then I went back and I looked at last season, and last season it was 37.7% of the starting quarterbacks in Week 1 were transfers. So I think the other thing that really surprised me was when I started breaking it down by conference, there's up to 7 SEC starting quarterbacks that are expected to be transfers. I was like, wow, for a league that, touts having all this talent, being recruited and everything, 7 of these schools are bringing in transfers to actually lead their programs. So, it's
not
very
many in the Big Ten, though. And only 4?
No. There's only 4. Connor Bazelak, I think is his name, from Missouri.
Yeah.
He's one of the ones that he may be the heir apparent in Indiana. Tommy DeVito, who played at Syracuse.
Right.
We may see him when we play Illinois.
Yeah.
Casey Thompson, who was at Texas, he transferred over to Nebraska.
Supposed to be big potential, but we haven't seen it.
Right. And then, again, Ryan Helinski is back. He's from South Carolina. We saw him last year with Northwestern. I think Rutgers also has the potential that they may have, what was his name? Villarreal, I think was his name, the quarterback. But they're saying that some kid that was already on the roster may beat him out, so he's not included in the count. There's only 2 quarterbacks from FCS have transferred into the Power 5, and it's Cameron Ward from Incarnate Word, who went to Washington State, and Grant Wells, who went from Marshall to Virginia Tech. So you're not seeing these guys that went to, the lower schools and all that, and all of a sudden making it, getting a scholarship to, the Power 5 schools. And among the Power 5 schools, there's 29 Power 5 schools that could have starting quarterback with the transfer. So
Michigan State had a transfer last year who was projected to be the starting quarterback, and we never saw him.
No. You know, I thought I had read somewhere that he was on somebody's training camp roster, but then when I looked it up, apparently he was on a roster in the USFL.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but he never hooked up with any NFL team. But you never know. I mean, with the way injuries happen in training camp, I guess anything's possible. I don't even know if he got into a USFL game, to be honest with you.
When you talk about the 4 Big Ten quarterbacks who are transfers who could start, probably a bigger story is the 3 who have left, who are going to start or make a major impact, starting with Michael Penix Jr., who left Indiana, and he's going to face Michigan State out at Washington and Seattle in that game, Game 3 for MSU. And he's had a good time against Michigan State in a couple of games, 1 win and 1 loss. And I think that a lot of people expected Quinn Ewers to be the guy at Ohio State, came in, and he was buried behind C.J. Stroud, and despite his name, image, and likeness deal, he went to Texas. Now he's going to be starting at least till Arch Manning gets there, but he was a number 1 ranked player in the country. And what about Nebraska? I find this one very interesting, Bob. Adrian Martinez did so much for that team, good and bad, but he was their offense. And now he's going to be at Kansas State.
It's a good fit for him.
I think so.
You know,
I think so.
With the way their offense is designed and everything, you could see him doing very well. I think with
I told someone I think that of all of the surprise players of the year, if I were to pick one right now in that system with Chris Kleiman, I would pick Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, they've been known to have explosive offense in the past, and I think, you know, with the system they got in place there, I can see him thriving in that and having a very good year. So, and especially with, you know, the Big 12, I think that's kind of up for grabs. You know, I know Baylor has been mentioned. Oklahoma's got so many new starters. You don't know what they're going to have. So that league is up for grabs. And, you know, with a guy like Adrian Martinez, that might be, you know, somebody who ends up taking him to the next level in that league.
Yeah. Well, you've done a lot of research on football. You're ready. You got the football thing going right now. And you did some work that we barely touched on about NFL quarterbacks, right? Where they're from and the backgrounds?
Well, yeah, when Baker Mayfield got traded over to Carolina, it got me thinking about these quarterbacks. And I've gone back and I've looked at every quarterback that's been drafted. There have been 1,054 quarterbacks that have been drafted all time in the draft, and that goes back into the 1930s. Now, granted, the Super Bowl, you know, started in, 1966?
66 season, but it was January of 67.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, since that time, now remember, 1,054 quarterbacks have been selected, so there were some selected before the Super Bowl era. Only 60 quarterbacks have ever played in the 56 Super Bowl games. And of the 60 quarterbacks, 33 were drafted in the first round, including 24 in the top 10. So why am I bringing this up? You know, you always talk about, you know, drafting the right quarterback to get you to the next level and all that. Yeah. Well, as you can see, it's been very limited in terms of the number of quarterbacks. Again, you got a guy like Tom Brady who's been in it so many damn times that, you know, he's going to take away a spot from somebody. Right. When you break it down further, 21 of the 33 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round were top 5 picks.
21 of 33?
21 of 33.
Okay.
And 12 were number 1 overall picks. So that's basically 20%.
Okay.
So, you know, it's very interesting to look at it because there are 2 quarterbacks who actually played in the Super Bowl that were undrafted, and that would be Kurt Warner and Jake Delhomme. I forgot completely about Delhomme. But, you know, so what does it all mean? You know, there are 831 quarterbacks drafted between 1966, the year before Super Bowl I, and last year. and 51 have started in a Super Bowl. So
All right,
only
Bob,
51.
I want you to give me your top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now.
Current or all time?
Right now, this year.
This year?
Yeah.
I say you still got to go with Tom Brady.
Okay. Pick 199, 6th round. Go ahead.
Right. Josh Allen.
Okay, he was not a top 5 pick.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
where did the Bills
Josh
take
Allen.
him?
Number 7, I believe it was.
Was it that high? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 10th.
Mahomes.
He was 10th, right?
No. Remember they traded with the Bills to move up and grab him. He was drafted. What year was he? He was. Oh, he was.
No, he wasn't. Pick. He wasn't a top pick. They traded up to get him, but he wasn't a top pick. I'm going back to that year when it was Baker Mayfield 1, Darnold was 2, Josh Rosen.
Josh Allen was 7.
And Josh Allen, and then so he was the 4th guy taken. He's way better than the other 3 who've all been traded. And then Lamar Jackson was at the end of that round.
Right. He was pick number 32.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so Brady, Josh Allen,
Aaron Rodgers, he sat in the green room forever. He wasn't a top 20 pick.
Aaron Rodgers, and then after that, oh boy, quarterback number 5, huh? Maybe Lamar Jackson.
Here's my point. Were any of those number 1 overall picks?
Oh, no.
Number 2? Number 3? Any of them?
Nope.
No.
Not a 1.
No. None of them were top 5 picks, were they?
No. None of them were.
No. So you can get a quarterback. I think back to when the big question was who was going to leave with all those career records, Breeze or Brady. Neither one of them were first-round picks.
That's right. Yeah, which basically goes to my point that, you look at these guys that ended up getting to the Super Bowl or are the top quarterbacks, and just because you take a guy in the top 5 doesn't guarantee that you're going to get to the Super Bowl or guarantee you that your team is going to be among the top teams in the NFL. Yeah, you might have a good year like, Joe Burrow with Cincinnati, but, Cincinnati's not considered the favorite this year. And, we'll see how they do in year number 2 or year number 3 for Burrow. So, it's very fascinating to think that all these quarterbacks taken, and of it's a small fraternity of guys that have actually been able to excel and take their team to the next level.
I think back to guys like Johnny Unitas. Was he taken in like the 18th round or something? I mean, it was
something like that.
Ridiculous. But that happens, and it's happened a lot. It won't happen anymore because you don't have that deep a draft. You only go 7 rounds into it. But it's happened more often than people would think. There aren't that many John Elways who are.
Well, here.
Patrick Mahomes was picked 10, by the way. I just checked that.
Yeah. So let's think of this. The Cowboys have only drafted 2 first-round quarterbacks in their history, and both won Super Bowls with them. Craig Morton in 1965 and Troy Aikman in 1989.
Right.
So it goes to show they're not drafting first-round quarterbacks, except twice in their history, and yet these guys take them to a Super Bowl. How many times have the Lions, taken a quarterback in the first round, and where's that got them?
Yeah,
very far.
The Lions have done it more often than the Packers have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they still don't have the answer on their roster. So you hope that Jared Goff has a respectable season, but we'll see.
I talked to somebody the other day, Bob, and they said they hope the Lions do well, but they don't want Jared Goff to do too well. I said, why? That doesn't make any sense. You want the Lions to do? I said, no. They don't want the Lions to go 8-8 and for them to think that Jared Goff is the answer. They want them to be bad and to get their quarterback. And in this draft, if you have Bryce Young, and you got CJ, and you got some other guys, this might be a quarterback draft, whereas the last one was not.
Yeah, but you take your chances. Just like I just mentioned, you don't know what you get until you actually lace them up, go out on the field, and just kind of like the Tigers in a sense. You draft basically on the hope that the player's going to end up developing and getting, helping you win games. And as we've seen there, it's not worked there either.
No. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Want to thank all of our guests today. Not used to having Bob on this late in the show, but appreciate him joining us today. I had to move some things around because tomorrow and Wednesday we will be in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. It'll be all Big Ten football for 2 days. Want to thank Audrey Dahlgren from WLNS. We will see her. She's probably in Indy now or very close to it. She was in the car on the way down with Ian. Also want to thank Tom Lang from Mr. Michigan Golf Journal and the USGA adaptive players from the state of Michigan, Kim Moore, golf coach at Western Michigan, and Brian Bemis. He's a teaching pro at the Country Club of Lansing. Jim Stark, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy, here to moan about the Tigers and talk about the Pistons, and Bob Trippey with all of his research. We will be back tomorrow, everyone, from Indy. Have a great night.